So banks face numerous and serious problems nowadays. And just to mention a few of them, they are confronted with historically low interest rates, make it really difficult, extremely difficult to earn money. They are actually confronted with a flood of regulatory issues. You see it right there. We can see and make them pay a lot of money to comply with those. Just to mention some, it's EMIR in Europe, it's the Dodd-Frank Act in the US, it's Basel III, it's FATCA, and many more, you name them. On the other side, you have demanding customers there, customers willing to change their bank relationship within minutes. If they just get better interest rates on their money market account, or get better links to their bank, to get nicer gadgets, better mobile apps, etc. And then finally, growing competition. We just heard that. Growing competition from Apple, from Google, and hundreds of fintechs entering the market, offering basic banking services and also value-added services, basic services such as payment services and many more. So a very difficult situation for banks. What can they do? They can get digital. However, digital is not the holy grail to solve all the problems, but it's something they need to do, and they need to do it now. We wanted to know more about that. So we set up a survey, BearingPoint and the Bavarian Financial Center, and asked 48 banks throughout Europe how they are actually coping with this challenge. And exactly we wanted to know how they're facing, how they're somehow coping with this situation, what are actually the best-in-class banks are doing with this, and what banks finally should do to improve their management of the digital world. Then we asked them what actually is and where they are investing. What are they doing? Why are they going into the market? So that are the results. And the main reason for banks, for the traditional banks to invest in digital technologies is first to increase costs, and the others to increase gross revenues. The third was mentioned was entering new markets, which surprised me. Not that they do, but it's actually the last one they mentioned. Entering new markets is exactly what the competitors do. They use this technology to enter new markets. And that was actually a big discussion beforehand. So what is digital for them? What is digital? And we had actually a lot of arguments within our group, so we decided not to ask them. I make a bet that if I would ask here, it would be the same thing. So you ask 10 bankers what is digital, you get 10 different answers. So we concluded not to ask them on kind of a definition. We thought, okay, what is kind of impact, or what somehow is, what are issues they bring together with the digital world. And first, and everybody mentioned that, was internet and mobile. That is obvious. And there are some more quite obvious. So it's automation of processes, really important for the banks. It's renewing the IT infrastructure. It's about new employee skills, very important. And also, out of my point of view, extremely important, the corporate culture within this firm. What surprised me a lot was that only 38% mentioned that startups as a new form of organization is somehow linked to digitalization. It surprised me because when you look at this phenomena, you see many big banks, and we just heard that, cooperating or acquiring new startups as fintech companies. And this might answer a question what we just had before. So what we see is that there's a lot of money going into this fintech, in the fintech industry. It's 12 million. Luckily, it's the same number we just heard in 2014, and it's continuously growing, this number. So we can expect in 2015 a higher number. Only from 2013 to 2014, it tripled. And now the crucial question is what to do, and we just heard that question too, and we asked the survey participants what to do in this situation, rather to collaborate or rather to compete. Actually, the group was split half and half, so a tight majority said we rather would collaborate, and the other part, 46%, would say they rather would compete. When you look at these numbers a little bit more in detail, you see that especially the ones which are digitally really high mature or have a really digital low maturity level are the ones who would compete, and the other ones, the intermediate ones, where you mainly find the big commercial banks, some of the names we just heard, in this group. So then we wanted to know more about the digital maturity of our survey participants. We put up 3 groups. We call them digital leaders, digital shy, and digital laggards. In this group, and you see that the biggest part are the digital laggards. The digital leaders apparently are banks which have digitized most of their banking functions and have created startups. In this group, you mainly find all the online banks, etc. Then you have the digital shy, 39%. Here you find the most of the real large banks. They have digitized a lot of their processes as well. They have created startups or acquired them. We just heard about that as well. But they suffer of legacy systems, which makes it really difficult to really change their technology and the organization too. With the digital laggards, finally but not least, are mainly small regional banks or local banks local branches of foreign banks. And then we wanted to know what really makes a digital project successful in a bank. And that is actually a really nice result is corporate culture. So it's openness and openness to innovation and openness to change. The first and most important point, and then was customer inclusion and good implementation planning and implementing a function such as a digital officer, for example. When we look at the customer inclusion, you see some nice examples around, and we heard some just before. But there is Crédit Agricole, a bank in France, for example, which has set up their own app store, and they include their customers to develop apps. So that would be a showcase how to do it. Okay, so then which parts of a bank are really impacted by digitalization? And the most important result here is that all of the departments in within a bank are impacted. The ones that are most impacted are the ones you see here. So on the one side is retail banking and private wealth management. On the one side, on the other side, it's security-related services and deposit business. So the one group, especially with a lot of customer interaction, the other group, especially with very complex and scalable processes. Finally, so what should banks do to get better digitized, to reach a higher level of digital maturity? It's first to consider all areas within a bank, all departments, see it rather as an opportunity for growth and not only for cost saving. Engage with others, so be collaborative, collaborate with the fintech industry, collaborate with the new players in the market. We talked about that too, and then enable, very important, and enable a corporate culture for openness and change. And finally, to check the IT security. Thank you.